Now, a fifth installment of the Amazon Christian historical drama, The Chosen, The Last Supper, is set for a release and for a first-time premiere in Nigeria and be available in Nigerian cinemas. The biblical movie series, which began in 2017, will have its fifth season screen in Nigeria this April as distributed by Tribe Nation. In a quick conversation with movie enthusiast Anita Edwards, she explains why the faith-based movie is doing well in the contemporary film market, the space of international production in Nigerian cinemas, and how Nigerian films can further penetrate the international market as well.
When we got a whiff of the project, which I think was just providential in and of itself, I have been a fan of The Chosen for so long. So being able to work with them in a close capacity to bring this film to audiences in West Africa has literally just been a blessing. The Chosen in and of itself can go head to head with almost every major franchise in the world. So when I look at it, I think of it as a contemporary IP in and of itself. I'm not looking at it as a lesser IP because it's faith-based. Because like I said, it's in my mind no different from a Marvel picture or Iron Man or anything. I mean, Jesus Christ is a superhero for a lot of people. So it's definitely a show that has held its own water. It has 17 million fans across the world and counting. Who wouldn't want to? What concerns could I possibly have? Nigeria is very religious, true, but there are die-hard fans of the show in this country, and so I had no concerns whatsoever.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
You can run on for a long time.
My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of thieves!
By what authority are you doing these things?
What better time to reminisce on the beauty of Jesus' sacrifice than during Easter? So I think it coming out during Easter is very, very strategic. It's also very significant to help people understand the weight of the holiday. I feel like a lot of times with Christian holidays, the message is kind of lost, or the purpose is kind of lost. So you see people talking about Easter bunnies and talking about all of that, and then, you know, it's how people during Christmas go, oh, what's the reason for the season? So in many ways, we're also asking people, yeah, what's the reason for all these free holidays you are getting to chill at home? Go see The Chosen, yeah.
There is talk of a collaborator from within of his own followers.
So until that midnight rider.
City's on edge. If you succeed, I'll be the one left to pick up the pieces.
I mean, I would say when the cinema industry started, maybe 2 decades ago, that would have been a real concern. Hollywood titles historically have, you know, ensnared, or I don't think ensnared is the word, or have really, you know, gone head to head, you know, or tended to marginalize Nollywood titles. But we've also seen the local support and the fan base locally. You have movies in Nigeria, Nollywood movies in Nigeria that have outdone Hollywood titles. And that's a pattern that we see evolving. So nowadays you see Hollywood movies going head to head, Nollywood movies going head to head with the biggest Hollywood titles and holding their own there. So in terms of finding the balance, I think as long as Nollywood continues to release competitive titles, the work then becomes easy for us as distributors, because you're able to release movies without being worried, without getting worried that they will not perform well at the box office.
The world is changing, and Jesus offers a vision to redeem it.
He's not the Messiah!
Telling that God's gonna cut you down.
Declaring yourself a sovereign, Rome will descend on us all!
He's gonna cut you down.
The Pharisees are plotting to arrest Jesus of Nazareth.
One of the things we've learned is that as long as you make movies and stories that are relatable to audiences. So yes, I'll give you an example. There's a trend. Yoruba movies are doing very well currently in the industry. But then there's a tendency for it not to be able to really be able to cut across as it ought to. But we found that by just making certain production decisions in a project, it gets to international waters and it does very, very well. So I hope that we will continue to export our culture, because, I mean, I know a lot about America, mostly because I've watched a lot of their movies. We know how their police department works. I'm pretty sure an average Nigerian who watches Hollywood movies can read Miranda rights. We don't have Miranda rights over here. You learned that in a movie. So hopefully we continue to export our culture. And one day you'll be surprised. Somebody, you know, halfway across the world can sing a full Oriki for a person because they've watched Nollywood. That's the future of Nollywood.
By what authority are you doing these things? My own!
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
We have a problem.
I think how I'll put it is this. Production excellence is a universal language, and I think what makes The Chosen such a unique show is that it's so excellently told. I can never forget the very first episode of the show. Everything just gets to you. The music, the picture, everything is just so well done. And so in terms of historical stories being told excellently well with modern technology, it cannot be overemphasized. It's so important because it heightens the experience. You can have the most poignant story on the planet if you don't tell it well. Nobody's going to watch it. And so this is very special because we like to say that it's the story of the most important man in history. If he wasn't told with excellence, the producers would have done a huge disservice to the man in question. So I'm glad they went, you know, an extra mile. There's fire and there's burning and all of that. I remember when I watched the teaser, I was like, gang, 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 gang. That's the Nigerian in me. So I hope every other Nigerian feels that way and comes out to see it on the 4th of April across cinemas in Nigeria and Ghana.
You serpents! How will you escape being condemned to hell?